Welcome to another edition of Closers. I am the DA, and as with me, as always, is James Cooladianos. James, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man, and look what I have today.
What do you got?
Do you recognize that guy?
That is one hell of a good-looking guy.
It's not you.
That's still good-looking guy. I recognize it's a good-looking guy. What's wrong with that?
I have a 2024 Bowman Paul Skeens prospect card, rated 9 by SGC. And later on in the show, I'm going to tell everybody how they can get this from my personal collection into theirs.
See, like I said, that's a good-looking guy. He's got Livy Dunn. That's a good-looking guy. You said SGC. Why SGC? Is it like PSA? I've gotten some things that are graded and stuff. They're all PSA. Why don't you like? What's up with SGC?
Well, it's not that I don't like PSA. PSA is just fine. But for me, the way they package their cards over here on SGC, they have that nice black background. They have the number nice and big. Their customer service is great. They give a fair price. And the turnaround is pretty quick. You'll get it within, 10 days. So for me, for the money, I think it's fantastic. I've graded all of my stuff with SGC. And they don't sponsor the podcast. By the way, SGC, if you want to, please do. But I would tell anybody that they should go to SGC over PSA, in my opinion.
Actually, I got a jersey right behind me. If you're watching, you can see it. If you're listening, I got an Atlanta Braves jersey, 2015. The whole team signed it, but they also had I think it was the 20th anniversary of the 95 team. They were all there. They all signed it. And I wanted to get that full legit, certificate and all that stuff. So that I might talk to them about that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do stuff like that. So yeah, if you want to win this card, make sure you tune into the end of the podcast, and I will tell you exactly how you can get your hands on my personal Paul Skeens graded 9 prospect rookie card.
First subject of the day is about a couple hitters that Paul Skeens has faced. I assume he's faced them. I think he has. Either way, he's going to face them. We are talking about NL MVP conversation. And when we go on to MLB betting odds, any odds site, what you really notice is two guys are stepping forward on the odds side. It is Shohei Ohtani, obviously, who's going to win it. But Francisco Lindor has popped up in all the odds. James, I want to go right to it, straight to a slap you across the face. Who's going to win the NL MVP?
Shohei Ohtani. There's no question. And I'm a Met fan, and I love Lindor. I think he's a fantastic player, but the idea that Lindor is doing better than Shohei Ohtani is just wrong. He's not better in WAR. He doesn't have the stats. Granted, he plays defense, but what does that mean? Ohtani accomplished something that's never been accomplished in the history of baseball. Baseball's been around for 130, 140 years? Nobody's ever gone 50-50. So why are we going to even guess about this?
I don't even understand it either. I do love it. I do love what everything Lindor has done this year. I think it's incredible with what he's done. I actually don't even understand how Lindor's number 2. I don't get it. To me, he is not my number 2 at all. I think that is, we're talking about East Coast bias and New York bias. I think this is as New York bias as it ever gets. When you compare, so if you compare these 4 players, Shohei jumps out off the page on almost every single stat. Lindor is first out of these 4 players: Marcell Ozuna, Shohei Ohtani, Ketel Marte, and Francisco Lindor. He is first in one category. Do you know what that is?
Games played?
Nope, not even games played.
Really?
Nope. He is plate appearances. That's what you get. A leadoff hitter. Plate appearances. He has more plate appearances than anybody else, and he still doesn't even have as many hits as everybody else. And that's his thing. It's supposed to be. I would imagine of all these guys, he would have the most hits. He does not lead in any category except for plate appearances. And what bothers me is when you've got the teams at the Braves and the Diamondbacks who are playing better than the Mets, Braves and Diamondbacks who don't have another hitter hitting 35 home runs and having a good season right behind him, and Alonso, who we all want to talk like he doesn't exist because Lindor's done everything all year. These guys have carried their teams and carried them into a better position than the Mets. That's what bothers me about this, is so much as it's all Lindor. These guys have had a year all year long, and they're doing it in many ways even better. OPS plus, which is an incredible stat when you start to know at comparing a player to the rest of the league. It's one of the best ways to do it. Lindor is last, 136. Ketel Marte, 152. Ozuna, 156. And Shohei Ohtani, 176. That's not even close.
The reason why everybody's on the Lindor bandwagon is because he plays every day.
He's the Mets.
Wait, hold on a second. Hold on. I'm not going to be New York bias over here. You know that I'm pretty even when it comes to stuff.
I will give you that.
Okay. The reason is because he plays a stellar defense, and he plays every day, and he has been the most clutch player for the New York Mets, who were not thought of as a playoff team, and he's putting them in a playoff position. That's the only reason why Francisco Lindor is the guy. I hear this conversation all the time on New York sports media. They're talking about, oh, Shohei Ohtani's a DH. Guys, slow down 1 second. He's not a DH. Shohei Ohtani is an injured pitcher, and instead of giving him more props that he's coming back from an injury on his arms, which he needs to swing a bat, they're saying, oh, it's giving him an advantage. No, it's not giving him an advantage.
What advantage does he have?
Oh, the advantage is he doesn't play defense and he can stay fresher. Fine. You want to say that? That's totally cool. I understand your point of view. But at the end of the day, he's coming off a freaking injury on his arm, and he played game 1. He didn't wait around. You remember last year? We had to wait for Bryce Harper a few weeks, a month or two, whatever, coming off of his Tommy John injury. Ohtani was there day 1 and is going 50-50. Nobody's ever come close to it.
Think about this. Your pitcher who is rehabbing from Tommy John surgery. Your injured pitcher who is rehabbing, it just happens to be 50-50. Happens to be the best player in the world. Your rehabbing pitcher who is also a Cy Young candidate. This happens to be, greatest hitter in the world. So let's just stop. Let's stop the conversation and just have the conversation of who's 2 through 4. Let's just go there. Let's throw Bryce Harper in there. Legit, Bryce Harper is having an incredible year for a great team. Also, he needs to be in this conversation. Mm-hmm. But let's just stop it with this Francisco Lindor talk. That is such a New York thing, and it bothers. That's what bothers everybody else about New York, because they can see how good everybody else has been all year and say this is it's a 3-man conversation, now 4-man with Bryce Harper. Like, it's a 4-man conversation.
It's a 5-man conversation.
4. Because
why?
Ohtani's the MVP. Then it's the whoever's left.
Oh, and the other 4.
The other 4. Like, it's not even close. It's the American League conversation too. Like, it's Aaron Judge, and then it's all right. Where does Bobby Witt fall? Like, how great of a year is he going to have at second place? That's the type of conversation we're having.
And by the way, I'm not going to give Bobby Witt the second place immediately, because Gunnar, I don't know if you've seen him, pretty damn good.
Gunner's pretty damn good. I would actually give it Bobby Witt. I actually think Juan Soto is going to have more votes than Gunnar Henderson.
That's a travesty, but continue.
Maybe. You know what? We can have that conversation next week. How about that?
Okay.
We'll get into that more, and we'll dive into those numbers more. I think it's clear. Are you clear here on Shohei? Where do you have? Okay. I don't. Have you done the numbers? Have you looked at Ozuna and Marte and those guys?
So if I had to go 1 through 5 right now, Ohtani number 1, I'd give Lindor number 2. I really would. Then I would go Marte. Then I would go Ozuna, and then I would go Harper. That's my top 5.
Again, and it's fair, and I'll give you that. And everybody can sit here and say that the defense kind of pushes them over the edge. I'd say that incredible. Ketel Marte has had some pretty incredible defense as well. Ozuna doesn't play defense, so there's always that. I think I hate that conversation though, like, because it's like it's the reliever argument. That's why relievers weren't in the Hall of Fame, because you're just reliever and you travel team to team, and I kind of hate that a little bit. To me, I look at this and just say, how much of an impact do they have on a team? Mm-hmm. Braves and the Mets and the Diamondbacks wouldn't even be here if we didn't have these guys. So Shohei, I give a Shohei, Ozuna, and then Lindor, Marte. Lindor on the defense, and that he was healthy. At the same time, even that the healthiness, the numbers really haven't jumped above those other guys. But yeah, it's actually crazy. Ozuna has the most games out of all of them. It's not that crazy. He's a DH, and he's a true DH. He's not an Ohtani DH.
Yeah, but I also think because of when we're recording, Ozuna might have a couple of games at hand. So I'm not sure about that, but if memory serves, that's where it's at. But because Lindor plays every day.
Well, think about this. Lindor has 40 more at bats than Ozuna, and Ozuna has 7 more hits.
Right. No,
40 more at bats, but Ozuna's got 7 more hits.
Ozuna's the better hitter, but all around, because he doesn't play defense, you have to give it to Lindor. And again, I get to watch Lindor on a daily basis. I see what his defense is worth. I see clutchness. So I understand why a lot of people in New York are trying to make the case for Lindor, but it's not 50-50. Nobody's ever done it in 130 years.
No. The conversation is that you're blind and you don't know how to evaluate talent. Across the league. That's just all it is. You're not watching Dodger games. You're blind to the Ohtani effect is what it is. Because if he was a Met, you'd be screaming. You'd be pulling your hair out if anybody else is talking about anybody else.
How many jerseys would I have if Ohtani was a Met?
You'd have like one of every single style, and then you'd find like those like artists who make like custom ones, and you'd be getting those. Oh God, you'd be living the dream.
I want an Ohtani autograph so bad. I keep buying all those Topps Now cards to see if maybe I get lucky and I get one of those Ohtani. Don't we know anybody on the Dodgers that we can beg to get me an Ohtani jersey, for cripe's sake?
Right. Kike. But I'm not that close with Kike anymore, man. I see him. I still see him. We talk whenever I see him, but I've played for too many teams. I should have played for like one team, and I'd be able to get everybody from there.
Oh, you can still get anybody you want from the Mariners.
Yeah, that's legit.
I mean, I highly doubt if you called Mariners PR and said, "Hey, my son is a huge Julio fan. Can you hook me up?" I doubt they're going to say, "No, screw you, David."
Best part is I'd be talking about James as my son. Like my son, 40-year-old James Gudianos, would like a jersey.
But hold on a second. But if PR says no to us, we could just say, "I'm calling your boss."
Well, yeah, there you go. I am calling Junior, and don't make me call Junior.
Exactly.
But there is also great news, everybody. Are the kids driving you nuts in the backseat and you want to escape? Are you looking for a way to listen to the entire show on your way to work? Don't worry, we've got you covered. You can now listen to the show on your favorite podcast platforms. Just search and subscribe to Closers on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and others. While you're there, make sure you give it a 5-star review. It helps us with the algorithm so we can get the word out to others like you and help boost our fragile egos. So please, if you're looking for any other way, maybe it's just our faces you don't like, go on to the podcast and just listen to our voices. The Twins released their minor league catcher, Derek Bender. That SOB got every single little bit of what he deserves. James, have you heard about this kid?
So I heard about this, but I didn't really have the time to do the research. So please enlighten me. I'm dying to know what your thoughts are, and then I'll give you my thoughts.
I'm going to say this straight up. This kid did something that's not crazy unknown to have happened before, but his team, again, he was a single A affiliate in Fort Myers with the Twins organization, the Mighty Muscles. Is that what they are? The Mighty Muscles. That's a new team name. I don't think that's what they were before. That's actually, I love minor league team names. Just throw, you know what? Where do we live? What do we like to do? What do people do around us? Let's throw it against the wall and see what sticks. I love it. The Mighty Muscles from Fort Myers, Florida, in the Florida State League. He is the catcher. The way the leagues work down there is they have a first half and a second half. Mm-hmm. And if you win the first half, you go to the playoffs. You win the second half, you go to the playoffs. If you win both, then they take like the second best record type of thing. So the first half, they kind of sucked. Second half, they were really good, 35-25. But they were right there, and they had a double header. And if they win, they keep their playoff chances alive. There's only a couple more games left. So they're right there, okay? He decided amongst himself that he didn't want to go to the playoffs, which is tough. And I'm going to say this. In the minor leagues, you don't get paid for the playoffs. You get paid nothing. So there's zero incentive. You get like $100 bonus at the end, or maybe like a whatever watch. It's nothing. Basically, it's like overtime, but you don't get paid for it, and which is tough at the end of after the end of a long, grueling season where you don't get paid a whole lot anyways. And then they tell you to work for free. He started telling the other team what pitches were coming.
Oh,
so he was basically screwing everybody decided amongst himself he didn't want to play in the minor leagues or didn't want to play in the playoffs and go home. And so he started giving him the signs, started telling every batter what was coming. I'm going to say this really quick before I get your idea on. Absolutely screw this guy to hell. This is fighting. This kid should get his ass kicked in that locker room because there are guys that their careers might have depended on that inning.
Yeah.
You know, like he's taking somebody else's career, a pitcher's career in his hands. And as you know, yeah, we can roll our eyes, call it eyewash all we want. But dude, those numbers matter. And that's one of the last games of the year. Like that's your last impression. This is going into the offseason. This, like, I'm on the other side of that making decisions, and I'm not looking at the one outing. I'm looking at their overall numbers. And I'm like, dude, you gave up 5. What the hell happened? Like you must have ran out of it. You didn't want to be there. I don't know what it is. And that might have made the decision on whether you go to the next level or not. F this guy.
Dude, if this guy was my teammate, I would have beat the living hell out of him after the game. If I was the pitcher and I found out he was giving away signs, or even if you were the pitcher and I found out he was giving away your signs, I would have smacked him so freaking hard that he would be on the floor now. How dare you? You're a professional baseball player. Your lot in life is to play baseball. When did playing baseball become a chore? That's first and foremost. You're a minor league baseball player. You've dreamed about being in the show your entire life. And you're saying, oh, this is a problem. I don't want to play any more baseball. I don't want you on my team. I don't want you in my organization. And you deserve a freaking beating.
Absolutely. You're out. You're out for me. If I'm your teammate, you're out. If I'm in front office, I am fighting to get you out of this organization. And I will take the L on that. I will leave my job if you keep me players like this in the organization. You can. There might be some conversations about where he'd have to get in front of the whole team organization and apologize. And still, I would never trust him with my pitchers. He was the 188th pick, which is the 6th rounder, which is a high pick, very high pick, and that was this year. That was 2024. This is the sad part for me is when I look at this and think, you are so focused on getting the season done and doing nothing, going home and sitting on your ass. You'd rather do that than play the game that you loved. With 6-year-old you, what would 6-year-old you think about that, right? What would 8-year-old you? What would 12-year-old you think about all the hours of work you put in? And now, guess what? Go the fuck home. Like
if I was a 6-year-old, I would say you're a poo-poo head.
That's the way I always looked at a lot of things. And I would look this in my career. There are times, don't get me wrong, dude, it's minor league seasons are long, they're hard, they're grind, you're on a bus, you're away from home, they get paid a lot more than we used to get paid. We got $850 a month, by the way, was our paycheck. And half of that automatically went to the clubbies. That was out, and then you had taxes, $850, then you had taxes, then half of that went to the clubbies, and you got whatever. You're living off your signing bonus. I was fortunate, had a lot of money, a lot of guys don't. But it's a grind sometimes, man. But that grind is what makes it so great. And that grind is a lot of the things that I miss right now of playing baseball. It's the grind, is the sitting on the bus, the 3 a.m. card playing on the road trip to West Virginia. I don't even anywhere or through West Virginia. And you're just sitting there playing cards with your teammates. You're just talking about life, talking about what you're going to do when the offseason is happening. He will never get that chance again.
Yeah.
And he chose because he wanted to go home and just go home a day earlier. Sorry, dude. Like, you don't have what it takes.
Let me throw you a curveball, and I'm very curious to your answer. What's worse, what he did or Pete Rose?
Here's the problem is I knew the curveball was coming. It was almost as if you told me a curveball was coming. Who was worse, him or Pete Rose? Ooh. Pete Rose just did so much. That's the hard part. I would say this. If there was one game where this dude's giving the signs and Pete Rose bet on his team, this dude's way worse. Pete Rose, all he ever did was bet on his team.
Yeah.
Okay? That's not as egregious as against it, right? Or just betting on baseball. The problem is you have so much information within the game. Like, I know who's not feeling good on the other team. We talk about it. We have dinners the night before, all that stuff. Pete Rose lied so much about it. That's my problem.
Just saying, if you take apples to apples and you say this guy bet on baseball and the other guy gave away the signs, I think the catcher is the biggest douchebag. Yeah.
And I agree with you.
So basically, to me, if this guy turns out to be the next Ohtani, I'm keeping him out of the hall, no matter what.
no matter what, you'd be keeping him out of the Hall. But there is an organization in baseball that doesn't have a whole lot of guys on their team right now that would ever be sniffing the Hall of Fame, and that is the Chicago White Sox. Chicago White Sox currently, who are on their way to setting the Major League record for worst team all time, or modern era worst team. In all reality, the worst team of baseball that we've ever seen, especially in this day and age where you can buy players and get them on your team and just basically buy wins. They are historically bad, and their GM, Chris Getz, first-year GM, and again, this wasn't his problem. They actually came into the season last year with a lot of really good pieces. Those have fallen off for a lot of different reasons. They were loaded with talent a couple of years ago and just haven't been able to fulfill it, which happens. They were actually the organization everybody wanted to be about 4 or 5 years ago because they had so much talent coming up, and it was the future looked bright. And I think they missed on every single one of them except for one guy, Jose Abreu. They traded, and now he's out of the league. So this has not been a good run for the Chicago White Sox. And Chris Getz came out this week and said, guess what, fans? We are going to get right behind you, man. We hear you loud and clear. And you know what? I talked to ownership, and we are going to hit it big in free agency, James.
They're going to hit it big?
They're going to hit it huge. They're going to go all in. They're going to open up the pay. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're not going to do anything. He basically said, we've got a lot of young talent here that needs to play. They need to learn, and we are not going to go after any. I'm summarizing, but we are not going after any big free agents at all. How frustrating is that to hear?
I actually have no problem with it whatsoever.
What?
I really don't.
No. Get out of here. Stop. You are no longer allowed to be a New Yorker. We're taking away your Mets fan card, your baseball fan card. Get out of here.
Who's the dude that said trade Matt Harvey right after the World Series? That was me. Who's the guy that says prospects are just prospect? Look, at the end of the day, he believes in the guys that he drafted.
Yes.
So let them develop, because right now there are no big free agents next year. There's nobody earth-shattering. The best hitter is Pete Alonso, and the best pitcher is Corbin Burns.
Oh,
well, Juan Soto.
Soto.
Yeah, but Juan Soto's not going there. The White Sox can't compete with the other teams that have billionaire owners. So take Juan Soto out of the equation for a second. Corbin Burns and Pete Alonso are the best that they could probably get. Is that going to change that team from a 100-loss team to a 100-win team? No, absolutely not. Let these young guys develop, see what you have, and wait until you have the right time. Because if you're spending the money now, you're not going to spend it later. If you get caught in a contract that, let's say you give Pete Alonso $30 million a year and he ends up being mediocre, you're not going to be able to buy anybody next year when you know what you have with these young players. I'm very, very cool with the idea of just waiting and seeing what you have and then making a decision.
That's a good point. And here's the thing is the White Sox historically have done nothing from a franchise perspective to getting big free agents. Andrew Benintendi was the biggest free agent sign they've ever had. Ever. Andrew Benintendi, guys. So they haven't gone out there and really done anything from a free agent standpoint to really spend the money. Like Juan Soto. For me, I actually love the idea of Juan Soto being a Chicago White Sox. Because Chicago White Sox. I keep saying the Sox. You can sign him long enough to where it actually starts to matter. It actually starts to work its way out. Now, the problem is there's going to be 2 years here, easy 2 years of just sucking, where Juan Soto's not going to want to be there. And honestly, Reinsdorf isn't going to open up the checkbook for him. There's no way in hell he's going to be able to. He will give it the amount of money that a Juan Soto would take and needs. And if you want to be a winner nowadays, that you actually have to give. There's no other free agents on the market this year that are long-term options the way Soto is. And that's where the White Sox are. Alex Bregman may be one, but he's still starting to hit that corner, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to get good 2 or 3 more years out of him, but he's starting to hit that corner. And there's really nobody else that's on the market that's young, that's available, that you sit there and say, okay, Blake Snell come in for the next 4 years. And you're like, 3 of those years, you're going to be one of the worst teams in baseball. At least 2 of them. Why give them that money? Especially when Snell, the contracts, a lot of these pitchers and a lot of these players have now, they want to get out of them so quickly. They're in and out of these contracts that there's no point. And you're just going to spend money to sell some tickets when some guys are pitching or some guys are playing. I like the idea. I'm actually with you, James. 100%. I'm actually with Chris Getz. He's been director of player development for a long time. They've actually have the 10th best minor league organization in all of baseball. Again, they had a whole lot of talent about 5 years ago, and then they just all came up and just never really hit. They were crushing in the minor leagues. I like the idea that they stay put. Stay put. Do it right. Be the Oakland Athletics where you actually go through a wave and let the talent develop and train, and then you find out who's good or not. Keep the guy who's good. Get rid of Luis Robert Jr. because you can get rid of that contract before it comes up, and then let these guys play and find out what you have, and then find the pieces to fill in the gaps.
Yeah, go out, get some prospects, get some guys in that organization. You said it yourself. If they went out and got Juan Soto, they're going to be bad for the next 2, 3, 4 years. So if you get Juan Soto now when he's 27, you're going to be getting a team good enough to play with Juan Soto when Juan Soto's 31, and he's then going to be on the downswing of his career. So you wait, and then you go after the 27-year-old who you can have for the next 3 or 4 years when the whole team is firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, and they have some pieces there. They have some young players that do show a lot of life, a lot of stuff. They got some minor leaguers that show life. That organization could be in a good place. And Montgomery coming up, Schultz coming up, Smith. I don't even know how to say the other one. Cuero. I'm so bad with that. Sit back, hang out, and develop your players. Right.
Now, the only thing that they will need, though, is a voice in that locker room. They need to get one veteran type of guy that can put them on the straight and narrow. And you know who I would like on that team? JD Martinez.
Ooh, that's interesting. I'm not crazy about it because I still think that's a money kind of going nowhere, and sometimes that's tough. What I would like is 3 of those 3 guys that struggle and fight their way up, and maybe 3 guys for the price of 1.
Yeah, but from everything that I've heard about JD Martinez, and I don't know him, I don't think you know him very well.
No.
Okay, what I've heard about him is he is the best at preparing. He is the most professional hitter in baseball, and he can really teach the other guys how to become that professional hitter. So if it's going to cost me $12 million to have a really good influence on the younger players when they're developing, that's a loss I'm willing to take. That's a loss leader. I'm willing to spend that money to try to develop the other guys if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, I like that. I'm buying into that, and I'm buying into that idea. Bring in some salty vets that can really be there for the team, and let them understand that you're there for the team. You're there to take the losses and have an attitude the next day to come back. That's going to be hard to find. It's going to be a hard sell but they need to be realistic about it. Let Chris Getz be realistic with these free agents. We're going to give you the money you want. We'll give you the money, but you're going to be here to help these players. Positive attitude, work hard, create a culture, create a difference maker in that locker room, and then you ride off in the sunset whenever you're ready to retire, or we trade you at a certain point to go to a contender type of thing. But you don't want to sell them out either. You don't want the younger players sit there and really get behind JD Martinez. Then all of a sudden you trade them, and then it feels like you're cutting their legs underneath them, right?
Right. Starling Marte could be another type of option for that team. Yeah. There are a lot of guys that you don't have to break the bank for that can be a good influence on that team. I'd like to see them get, a salty veteran pitcher, a catcher. Just bring me somebody over there that can hold everybody else accountable. That's all I want. I don't need a superstar. Just get me that guy that's going to develop these young players.
Again, a Danny Jansen is a stud. Ismani Grandal, I've been around these guys. Jan Gomes is an incredible guy. Gomes is an incredible guy. Have him there. I know he's been a White Sox. I think he's been a White Sox before for a little bit. Maybe I'm thinking about Grandal. But Jan Gomes is a stud. There's some other guys, just have him in the James McCann.
Justin Turner.
Yeah, there's guys. Rowdy Tellez is a stud that won't break the bank and knows the kind of the geographical region. And and all
Yeah,
that
but your
stuff.
buffet bill is going to go through the roof with Rowdy.
Oh, he does like to eat.
Yeah.
I've eaten with him. It's pretty impressive.
Can he eat more than I can?
Maybe. Yeah, probably.
Wow.
Probably.
That's crazy because you've seen me eat. I can eat like an animal.
Yes, you can. But I'm going to throw this out to all the White Sox pitchers out there. I got a question for you. Are you struggling to get to the next level? Are you working hard, but your velocity just won't improve? Don't worry, I've got you covered. You can always message me at da@topvelo.city, and I'll give you all the tools you need to improve your game. Mention closers, and I will give you 10% off your first evaluation. But this is actually for everybody. Go out there. You don't have to just be a White Sox pitcher in the minor leagues or even in the big leagues. Contact me if you know anybody, if you have any friends, any kids, any whoever needs to get better, any type of baseball player, man, come on out. Message me again at da@topvelo.city, or go to social media, Top Velocity @TopDA, or I'm on everything. You can't miss me. The DA53, you can't miss me. Send me a message.
And if you email DA and he doesn't get back to you, just email me and I'll get the message to him because that's the only way he works.
Pretty much.
Name me a player out there that you would love to get into one of your camps that you're like, ooh, I can fix him and I can make him a star.
Noah Syndergaard.
Noah, if you're watching, and I'll put this on social media, and I'm going to address it to you, Noah, do it. Join with DA. DA, would you do it for free for Noah?
100%.
Okay. Noah, I will make this happen. You contact DA or you contact me. We will get you in touch with DA. He will bring your velocity back. You will have the hammer of Thor in your hand again, and then you can come back to the Mets, please.
Yes, let's do it, Noah.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
Noah said he's willing to come back to the Mets on a cheap deal. I would love to see it. I'm a big fan of Noah's.
Of course he does. Of course, I want to go back to the Mets, but are we willing to put in the work? Are we willing to get better, right? That's the question.
Yeah.
There's a team out there that's got guys that are trying to work, trying to play more. That's the Steelers. There's an interesting little thing going on there in that quarterback realm, in that office. Justin Field has been the starting quarterback for the Steelers. Russell Wilson was supposed to be the starting quarterback. All of a sudden, he had a little calf injury, no longer starting. I've got one thing I've been thinking about this, James. Do you think they're holding back Russell Wilson?
Absolutely.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I really do.
Oh, man. I'm having a hard one on this. Like, I do think so, but again, I'm like an optimist. I think everything's in a positive light. So I'm trying to think that they're not. At the same time, yeah, I would give Justin Fields the first look. If I were the organization, I would have a Justin Fields the first look right out of the gate. And I actually love that they got both guys. I think it's smart.
Look, you didn't know what you were going to get out of Russell Wilson. He was a reclamation project because he was terrible with Denver. And you couldn't tell if that's because Denver had a terrible coach at the time or they didn't have the tools around him and maybe Russell just didn't fit in with that team or whatnot. But he showed that he wasn't the old Russell Wilson. So they moved him over to the Steelers. Fantastic. And the Steelers like, okay, maybe we have a quarterback. Maybe we don't. We hope we have a quarterback, but they were smart enough to grab Justin Fields. And from everything that we heard in the offseason, Justin and Russell, they're 1 and 1A. We don't know who we're going to pick. Well, guess what? Russell got hurt. And now they had the excuse, all right, let's slow play it here. Let's see what Justin Fields has. You know, we can see 2 or 3 weeks rather than try to rush Russell back and come back in the second week and whatnot. Let's see what we have in Justin Fields. If he sucks, we can say, Russell, you know, it was your job to begin with. Come back. And if he doesn't, he was Wally pipped. And what did you lose? Nothing.
You lost nothing. And that's a beautiful part of where they're at right now. I think it's great. I think they were smart. They went for a quarterback a couple years ago, didn't work, and they were able to get 2 quarterbacks that are, one was arguably one of the better prospects, right, out of the draft. The other one was an absolute stud, one of the best quarterbacks in the league for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Throw them against each other and find out what you get. You're not going to hurt each other's feelings. Who cares? Like, dude, you guys figure it out. Like, you're men. And 2, like, you might hit gold on both. You know, like, you might find out that you have 2 good quarterbacks. And I actually think Justin Fields is a lot better than the Bears. Like, look at Caleb Williams now.
Yeah.
Like, is Caleb Williams doing anything better than Justin Fields was doing? No. And Justin Fields was starting to figure it out too. And so I think they actually, if they have a good system around them, like, they're going to be good with both guys. And Russ maybe can find that passion again, find that spot again. But I loved what they did with this.
And there's a reason why the Steelers are one of the best organizations in all of sports and why they always win and there's never any turmoil, because they make smart decisions and they have a coach. How many coaches have the Steelers had in their history? Like 6 or 7? They keep guys there forever.
Maybe.
You always have that stability in Pittsburgh. You have a great coach in Mike Tomlin, and nobody's going to talk back to him. It's not like, all right, I hate to say it because we always talk about New York because I'm in New York. It's not like you have, Robert Saleh over here where everybody thinks he's a joke. Your quarterback isn't going to go up to Mike Tomlin and talk in his ear and give him shit, because Tomlin will say, oh, really? Get the hell out of my team.
Exactly. Without a doubt. And I love what they're doing. I love everything about it. I think it's smart. And at the end of the day, if they don't work out, then you draft a quarterback. But they think they have bigger needs than quarterback, and that's why it's smart. I hate when teams have so many needs and they just go for a quarterback. It's like, ugh, you're just gonna fail anyways. Like, it's gonna fail.
Like Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson.
No, yeah, right. They just keep going for QBs and like, all right, let's get some real playmakers. Now they have some playmakers, and then you just go find a free agent quarterback. Like, that's a beautiful part of it in the NFL. Like, there are free agent quarterbacks that are pretty decent, like Kirk Cousins, or even like, I know you made the trade right for Aaron Rodgers, but like, guys are available. Pick them up.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Thinking and speaking of one other player, I got to stick with football. This guy might be available for the rest of his career. Tua Tagovailoa. Never
Tua
been able
Tagovailoa.
Tua Tagovailoa. I think I have a concussion there trying to say it. I think the question I want to ask, I know people are already saying, is it time for him to give it up? Is it time for a team to step up? Is it time for somebody to say Tua, like, it's over? But I think the real question should be, is that fair to anybody to even ask him that?
Is it fair to ask him to stop playing football?
Yes.
Okay. Here's the problem. Tua's young. He's in his 20s, and he's stupid as a result of being young. And I'm not saying he's stupid. I don't know Tua, but 25-year-olds.
We're not questioning his intelligence.
Yeah.
We're just saying young and dumb. It's right.
When you're young, you're dumb. It goes with the territory. So somebody says to you, if you play and you keep playing, you're going to be a multi-millionaire for many, many years. And I know that he just signed the deal and he has that, he got his signing bonus. But telling him, hey, you keep playing, you're going to make another $100 million. And if you don't, you're going to lose out on that money. What's a young guy going to say? Most of the time, they're going to say, screw it. I want the money.
I want the money.
For what's right for Tua, I would love to see the Dolphins say, I'm sorry, but our conscience won't let you keep playing, and release him. This is why the NFLPA needs to dig in their heels one of these days and demand guaranteed contracts. Because if you're going to put your life in the hands of a team who, it's a business, they want to win. The more they win, the more money they make. If you're going to put your future, your health in the hands of a team, then they have to ensure that you're going to be taken care of. You need to have guaranteed contracts for reasons just like Tua Tagovailoa. He's not going to stop playing. He's not, because he wants the money. But if he was guaranteed, he would maybe think about his future. On the flip side, though, you don't want Anthony Rendon, where you gave him a whole bunch of money and then he says, oh, I got a hangnail, can't play for the next year.
Where I believe, and this is from my experience in baseball, is okay, yes, you're going to have the Rendons. But, and unfortunately, Kurt Schilling at the very end, right? When he plays a season knowing he's probably not going to play and he takes the money, you tend to actually get healthier athletes. You tend to get players whose careers are prolonged and better because they're willing to sit out a game, because they're willing to maybe sit out a play or a quarter because they know they don't have to for the money. So what you're going to get is, wow, we're going to be all mad. Like, oh, I can't believe so-and-so's not playing this week. That's BS. Think about the fans and the team and the organization, all that stuff. Yeah.
My goddamn fantasy team.
Right, and true, like that will be there, and I'll feel it, and everyone else will feel it. At the same time, you're going to get 2 more seasons out of the guy. He's going to be there and be a better player for you for longer because he knows, dude, that this knee is really bothering me. It's really bothering me. I need to sit a game, and then they're healthier longer versus playing, hurting it worse. And then you have these careers that are so short that they're just flashes in the pan. You're constantly seeing in the NFL flashes, and then they're out, flash, and they're out because they play through these stupid injuries because they feel like they have to make the money. Versus, hey, this is dumb. Take a moment, like Tua. Hey, take 3 games, dude. Take a couple games here and like seriously sit back and like get your head straight. I think you'll get better product on the field too.
If there were guaranteed contracts, do you think the Washington, at the time, the Redskins, would have forced RG3 to play out if they knew, hey, we got to pay this guy another $150 million. We can't risk his knee on right now. No, they would have benched him and they would have said, okay, let's live to play another day because we still owe you $150 million or whatnot.
100%. And then we might still have RG3 playing. That's the beautiful part about this is we still have these guys playing and longer careers and healthier careers. And you might get better. I think you'd get better product on the field.
When you were coming back from injury, if you had, I already know the answer to this because I know you. If you had a long-term deal, you would have probably never played a game for the Yankees because you wanted to make sure that you were healthy.
Yes, I would say this. I would not have pushed myself through a couple different injuries that I was dealing with that the Yankees never knew about. Yeah, and you get there and you push yourself and then you're not healthy. It looks bad, but you have to do it. You have to push yourself.
So for you guys that don't know the particulars of David's career, David was a free agent after his time with the Mariners, and he signed a 2-year deal with the Yankees. He had some setbacks, and it took him until the very last game of the second year to get on the mound. And that was basically just because...
A little different. You're not far off.
Okay, so tell me.
I signed a year. It was a year and an option.
Okay.
Not a whole lot different there, but a year and an option. The first year, I pitched one of the last games of the season. And then I went to spring training, and I had... basically the same kind of injury come up, and I was trying to pitch through it, trying to make the team out of camp, and I didn't. I got released. Rightfully so. I got released. Sean Kelly made the team actually over me. And
the guy who loses paintings,
right? He earned it more than I did. He was a better option, than I was at the time. And then I ended up. Then I went to the Marlins, went to the Mets, ended up getting to the big leagues with the Mets, and then had a very good season throughout the rest of the year with the Mets, especially as a reliever.
Until that one weekend when I showed up and your ERA went from 1.5 to 4, but okay.
In the Nats. Yeah, thank you. So that's an interesting thing. Yeah, when I was pitching with the Yankees, though, man, I had a really bad groin injury, and I was fighting through elbow soreness, which I was coming back from Tommy John and hip surgery. So I had hip surgery and Tommy John surgery. I was coming back. I was taking a lot of medicine that the team didn't know about to try to get through the injuries while pitching, just to get a uniform on and pitch one game for the Yankees. And I achieved that. And then I definitely was trying to recover that offseason, go into spring training. One of the first games, I had the same injury again, basically with my groin. And it just was bothering me just a little bit, and I didn't make the team. But if you, in hindsight, like if I would have been in a longer term contract, guaranteed something, I wouldn't have played that year. I would have probably sat out and then recovered and came into spring training healthier.
Yeah, that one little injury cost you $10 million.
A lot of money.
A lot of goddamn money.
A lot of money. Maybe not quite that much, but maybe around there.
No, I think it's at least 10.
There was a lot of incentives in that contract that were very friendly, very David friendly. But that's why they do incentive-based contract, because honestly, I didn't pitch for him, so I didn't get the incentives. And that's beautiful. That's a beautiful part about it, man. I would never complain. I can't complain about what they did with the contract because it unfortunately worked out for both of us.
Yeah. And if your wife Andrea ever gives you any crap about why can't I have this, why don't we have a bigger house, or etc., it's her reason. She's the reason for your groin injury.
Groin injuries, like, man, dude, Andrea, damn it.
All right, I'm done with that.
Nothing left here. We're done.
If you want to get my personal Paul Skeens graded 9 SGC rookie card, all you have to do is go into the comments, tell us you want the Paul Skeens card, mention Paul Skeens, and like the video. If we get 100 comments and 100 likes, I will contact a random person from the comments, and I will send you my Paul Skeens. I can't send you Livy Dunn. I wish I could, but I can send you Paul Skeens. So make sure you comment, make sure you like, and as soon as we get to 100, I will send it out.
Is there a Livy Dunn Topps card?
If I had to bet, there's probably a Paul Skeens and Livy Dunn card somewhere, but I'm not sure.
Just do me a favor, fans. Everyone, if you're still listening, 100% Google Livy Dunn Topps. Just, baseball cards everywhere. The Livy Dunn Topps end up being, I'll be honest, 0 baseball cards. Absolutely 0 baseball cards. I should probably throw up 2 P's. That might help. Nope, still no cards.
Yes, Topps is spelled with 2 P's.
Yeah, either way, you get the same results. A lot of very nice tops.
There'll be one day.
A lot of very nice tops. Anyways, on that note, we are done. We are going home. Again, like us. Let your friends know about us. Let your enemies know about us. If you hate us, let them all know about us so they can hate us as well. We love doing the show, but guys, show us comments, show us likes, send it out to your friends. If you're on the podcast, thank you for listening. And if you're watching the show on YouTube and you want to listen to the podcast, go on to anywhere you'll find your podcast. We will be there. You will find us. Look for Closers, look for Man Cave Sports, and we will be around annoying you for the rest of our days.